Good evening, Georgia. So tonight I don't have the scope to do any making tonight. I'm gonna have to do a bit more drawing work. Those bits that I did last night were a little bit wrong, so I've refined my drawing somewhat, but I'm still working on it. Realised that certain things were slightly out, and my work that I'd done on making the ornate pieces weren't quite right either, so I'm adjusting. Yeah, it's not been too bad. Could have been better, but not too bad. Right, that's them in place. What I want to do now is copy those over across there. No, I don't. Let's start again. I forgot to copy that layer as well. I take the whole thing over. Oops. Keyboard shortcuts are not that great for me on a laptop because the keys are so close together. Shortcuts are not that great for me on a laptop because the keys are so close together. I'm back. I was wondering why it wasn't changing on the camera and it was changing on screen. So to try and help me out, I've got multiple layers here. You can't quite see there, can you? No, it's mine. So if you can just about rake out there, I've got multiple layers controlling all the different layers, funnily enough. Now I've moved to the door, or to the lower window, it doesn't have the ornate stonework around it. It just has a surround. That's the one. If I just delete those bits. And leave behind the bit I want, hopefully. I'll lock the other layer as well. Like that. What layer is that on that's locked? Elevation, yeah. Effect. No, carry on. Sorry, I have to talk to myself a lot. This is all the lines that I put on yesterday, but now no longer needed. Everything was in a different place. It's frustrating sometimes because I want to jump on to get working, but I know that I have to persevere with faffing around with the details, because otherwise I'm just not going to get there. Once I've drawn this on the master drawing, I need to then transfer some of the elements onto another document that I can start setting up to print. I'll just lock the elevation layer. What's going on here? Onyx tone, onyx surround. Why have I got two shapes there? It should be the same as that, and it is. Stick that layer on and that layer on. Hello Pip, how are you doing? I am trying currently to put together a refined drawing. Oh, it's moving. Nothing. Moving the wrong thing. So my keyboard shortcut doesn't work again. No, Siri, I don't want you. You may go away. What have I selected there that I don't want to? It's the reference picture. No, it isn't. Sorry, guys. Something's moving that I don't want to move. I'll get there eventually. Right, that's better. Spacing was a bit off, but now we're back on track, I think. Just turn that reference off. Alright, there we go. It's very tedious, Pip, but this is part a lot of the work that has to be done. So this is the big drawing that I've done for the front piece. As you can see, it was an awful lot of work. There's the I need to do some shutters yet, so I've drawn up some shutters that I'm going to laser cut. there. So they're actually open on most of the windows. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets like that. And then these windows are slightly smaller, so I'll need a similar set there. But normally I would just create a rectangle and then a couple of panes, but these are really quite ornate and intricate window surrounds, so there's quite a bit of thinking that has to go around how I'm going to make these. If I didn't have the laser cutter, I'd be cutting them on the Cricut anyway. But the laser is actually going to make this a little bit easier. So I want the surround detail from the window. I'm going to use it for the door. Positioning it is a little tricky. That's it, I think. It's going to be a little bit confusing when it comes to trying to set the panels up, but we'll get to that soon. Don't need those layers. Or that bit there. Or that bit. Again, I think these are slightly different at the bottom. Just switch my reference on a minute. Yeah, it's just a very plain piece at the bottom. Turn that layer off again. So kind of like that. And just drag that over. Again, I've used Siri Control instead of the Select. No, go away, Siri, I don't want you. I'm not on the best of mats for doing this either, because I'm using my cutting mat, which is covered in super glue debris, so it's very bumpy. No, go away again, wrong keyboard shortcuts. Again, wrong ones. I can't see what I'm doing. These keys are too close together. Good evening, Dave. How are you doing? I'm just thoroughly confusing myself at the moment. I will get there eventually. I have multiple layers that I need to try and sort out. And that is what I'm attempting to do here. I see, I grew up with Illustrator. I've been using Illustrator since about 1999-ish. I used to have a program called Freehand by Macromedia, but when Adobe bought out Macromedia, they kind of ditched it, and it turned into well, they replaced it with Freehand. But I've been using Illustrator for a long time. Oops. Let's check this. Like I say, I'm used to the keyboard shortcuts on a desktop, and the keys are a bit further away from each other. So whenever I do this on the laptop, I'm a bit too fast for myself. Whenever I do this on the laptop, I'm just always a step or two ahead, or hitting the wrong keys at the wrong time. It's so much better with a mouse. I hate using trackpads. Right, I think that's the downstairs, or the lower floors, kind of sorted now. I just need to sort out the upstairs levels. Still got several layers of window to do. If I do these two, then I can just copy and paste them across. These are actually a bit more straightforward, I think. And this image that I've used as reference is not quite easy to see. My documents end up with full of drawings. So I need just 2 frames on the outside of that, I think. And it's not that easy to see from that angle. It's angled down and then straight back. No, I didn't want that. Right, I need to take this off and stick it on a different layer. Yes, I must admit my my labelling sequence isn't great, but I've got stone surround ornate surround reference pictures, so I can turn things on and off. Except sometimes I forget and draw stuff on the wrong layer, and that gets really confusing when you're trying to pick something up or switch something off. So yes, I want that back there because I want to take that off, and then I want to take these off, and that's not shift that I'm holding. Missed one. Right, so that just leaves behind the cut layers. All right, I think I'm back on track. Just switch my reference on again. What did I say I was doing? Opening goes back to normal wood, then it's... So I don't actually need these, and I'm going to have to move these further out. No. Sorry guys, I do know this is very, very boring. Exactly. Yeah. I end up with really wacky coloured drawings as well when I'm trying to select lots of different colours for different things, just so I can see where they are. At some point I'm going to have to disappear early tonight because my son's girlfriend's over and she's going to want a lift home. Right, so that's going to have a depth to it, and then that's going to have a depth to it. This is where it's tricky trying to work things out. Go away, I don't want search. this purple layer is another little bit of inset stone. I just need to try and set in place. Wrong keyboard shortcut again. Trying to get the keyboard shortcut for the magnifying glass, the zoom tool, but it keeps turning Siri on instead. Okay, and then I just need to pull this down. Move this over slightly. We're talking fractions of millimetres at this resolution, at this magnification. No, Siri, go away. It does. It's hours and hours and hours. It's just, this is what you don't see. I tend to work offline when I'm doing this. So I mean, I've just been fiddling around with one window surround and it's taken me about an hour. I'm actually doubled up there, don't need that lot. It's in there instead. Now I've done that, I can just pull this down a bit. It gets a bit confusing with the reference layer on all the time. Oh, I didn't move it. I didn't copy it, I just moved it. I needed to copy. I mustn't have hit the right key. Purple. Purple. Switch reference back on again a minute. Almost there now with this. Oh, that's there. Need to make that window a bit more square. Right, reference off. Where's my reference gone? Right, that hopefully should be on the stone surround layer now. And I'll just put that back on again. Yeah, there is an ornate ledge underneath that one. Except the ledge is actually inset, isn't it? Is it the same on there? God, I'm sorry. How can you hear birds tweeting? Because you can hear the birds through the conservatory. They're really loud. Good evening, Christopher. Sorry for the lack of response. I am insanely concentrating right now. No, it's just one straight ledge underneath there. I'll draw afterwards, I think. I'm working on a drawing for my next model. I mean, I'm well underway at the moment. This is what I'm working on here. I've only managed to build one elevation so far, so I'm working on the opposite, well not the opposite side, reverse side. So the bit that I've drawn up is here. Sorry, the bit that I've started building is here. It's very, very complicated graphics, but that's the drawing there that I've used to create this facade here, including the really ornate dormer windows up there. So without being able to draw everything up properly first, there's no way you could you could get anywhere near starting to build. But if I'd waited until I'd drawn everything up completely, I wouldn't have started building for another few weeks. So what I'm doing is drawing a bit at a time, and then building a bit. You see what I mean? Now this is very, very hard to draw in some respects, because it fights against everything that you think is right, in so much that these windows are not necessarily in line with the ones below. Even though this is a very wonky Photoshop file that I've used to create this background, you can see that these two windows do not line up, but these above are centered above that one. So now I've got everything in place. One thing that's been very difficult to do is work out the actual gables, because of the way the photograph works. I've had to take a little bit of artistic license in changing the shape of the gables, just purely because they don't line up, and I think that's more to do with the photograph and the angle of the photograph. It's nigh on impossible to get them to marry up. And I just want to check I'm not going to destroy anything too much by just budging this over a little bit. Picked something up there that I'm not sure what was what. That looks better. Now, like I say, I'm going to have to do a bit of copying and pasting. So now I've drawn that, I'm going to delete these two. And move them over. Now this is a bit that's very not very in, it's very what? It's very non-clear due to the photograph. It's because, you know, when you get a Google Earth Street View car, and sometimes it blurs things out when it goes past. That's what I was using here initially to get the photographs. These are offset. Easier to see in this picture here. This set of windows here are centered above that one, but this set of windows here has stepped off to the right. It doesn't even line up properly with that side. So like I say, it looks like you're fighting everything that you think you know. One thing I've got to get quite right on this is that the window surround here just kicks in with the border on the roof. So I just want to make sure that that's in the right place. Like I say, I'm struggling to align it with the photograph underneath because it doesn't. I do have to copy the elevation layer over as well, because that's got the hole for the window. And again, this doesn't look like it should. Be where it is, but it is. And what I'm going to do to try and rectify this a little bit is move that gable end over a little. Okay, so I think I've finally sussed it. Must make sure I save that after the hours I've spent drawing it up. Now what I need to do is create myself a couple of files for laser cutting. So I'm going to take that and move it into a new document. The annoying thing is though that when you take it into another document, it doesn't keep the layers, it just copies and pastes. So I might actually be more sensible resaving the document and then deleting the bits that I don't want. You see there's lots of shapes that I've put on here that are purely there just for me to work out where everything goes. So unfortunately, well, it's a good job I actually cut this on this particular piece here. It's a good job I cut that on card last night because I've refined it again. So I've had to make another one. That's having realised that actually all these windows should have been much, much lower down, because what I'd originally done is lined them up with the... I'd assumed that they were all on the same level as the wall around, but they're not. They're actually lower. So this is one of the perils of building like this, is that you're just constantly looking at the drawing and changing your mind. The build is going fairly slowly, Leanne. I did some work last night to see if it was going to all match up, and I've actually wasted a couple of bits of board. These are the two pieces that comprise this left-hand side, except the shape, both the shape of the gable and the position of the windows is wrong. I am going to be able to use these again because I'll be able to cut some more bits out of it, but the pieces themselves are no good. So I'm glad I didn't start gluing things together last night because it was all wrong. I don't need that in play. I also got lots of pieces over here that I don't need. Can't remember what those were for. What were these bits for? I have absolutely no idea. Let's just delete that because I don't need it on this piece. Okay, like I said, what I'm going to try and do is create some files for laser cutting. Essentially what I need out of this now is this overall shape, and then the elements that I've just drawn here to create all the mouldings. So if I now could switch off the stone surround and the ornate surround bit that's there, I've then got my master document for the double gable. And I now need to merge these shapes together to create the full gable piece. What I actually did yesterday was then cut them back up again, because this is bigger than an A4 piece, which is the only size of MDF I have at the moment. I have got another coming, an A3 size piece tomorrow, hopefully. So as eager as I am to get cracking and cut it, I might just wait until the bigger piece comes. Then I'm not faffing around with slicing things up. Right, what I'm going to try and do now is marry these shapes together. So I've created another rectangle that bridges those two gables, and then I'm going to use the shape transform tool, which ties them together. Then there's this little shape here that acts as an arch. Remember to hit the shift key and not the control key, which I keep missing by mistake. So if I hit option on the keypad and click on the join tool, then click expand, it turns it into just one shape. So now what I've got here is the shape that has the outline and then all the window holes. And on this side, what I want is this. I keep doing it, I keep hitting function instead of shift. It's just one key lower. Have I got them? I want that one, and that one. And again, I'm holding option, join, and that's created that shape there. Can you see? If I highlight it pink. And then just in front of that, are just some little suggestions of where I want the cornerstone etching to go. So I'll keep that in the drawing. Now I always make sure when I'm doing a laser that the cut lines are red. So that's 255 red. Is it fine enough to see? And I'll leave the black lines black. I need to make that even thinner now. 0.01. Is it actually visible to the naked eye? If I select it, you can see it. I've had to make the lines really, really thin for the purpose of lasering. Again, I'll do that here. 0.01. What I could have done is just use the eyedropper tool to change it to the same colour and weight as that one. This piece here is the same as the back. Now I just need to refresh my memory. It should be a straightforward cut. Let me just go back and open the other one. By the time you get to chill, you're sleeping. Yes, I know the feeling. Leanne, did you see me building this bit then? Giving it a coat of colour. It wants spraying. It wants a little bit of a sanding in place because it's a little rough. But I've given it a bit of texture. And it was starting to look a little shoddy because of all the different finishes and textures. So I've given it the whole thing a spray of an undercoat on this side, which has tied everything together. Now I just need to sand this bit here smoother, because although this is rendered, the top part above this moulded stone is quite stippled, which I've got here, but below it is quite smooth. So I'll give that a sanding. I'll give some of the bits of decorated stone a bit of a sanding smooth. My mistake that I've used here, that I wouldn't do again if I was redoing it, was to use grey board. Even though it's brilliant for laser cutting, and it engraves really well, it's kind of soft. So if you try and put anything on top of it, it starts peeling a little. So I've learned my lesson there. I won't use grey board again. I've already cut that one short, have I? Don't think I have. That is 274.6. Oh, maybe I made that other one bigger. Yeah, it's 274.6, so it's the same size. I forgot to chop the end off, but I don't think that really matters. I'll just do it the same. So I think that should be fine. Yeah, that's just going to be my reverse part of the wall, which I haven't cut yet. Everything's a little bit of a very faint line now, but this is what I need to be able to cut with. So what I've got here now are those two pieces. This bit's something completely different. This is the piece that I'm going to use for the tower, or one of the towers. But what I need to do now is separate out those shapes that I'm going to make for my ornamental mouldings. I've lost my layer. There it is. I'll just make sure this is saved. So there's my ornamental surrounds. I'm going to turn elevation off. Oh, what layer did I end up making that? Wrong one, working. Right, so I can turn all those off, and now I've got myself multiple files here. This is what I'm going to need to create my... No, I don't want templates. This is what I'm going to need to create my decorative ends. So I'll rename this file. Just going to delete all the layers that I don't want. Because they will they'll bloat the document size. Should have done that on the elevation one as well. Okay, this is where I need to get my thinking head back on again now. So all I need to do is create files for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These can all be duplicated, so there's no point doing everything. We'll start with the bottom one. Now let's try and get my head around this. I'll just do a straight copy for the minute. Now each colour that I've got on here, even though it's quite hard to see, represents a different layer. So I think I've got 4. I'll just duplicate them across. What I need to do is start with the bottom one and work my way up. Just go back on here. Figure out why I've got a blue. Right, that's why. So I have deleted the the aperture layer. So I want to keep blue. Good evening, Nen. Thank you for the gift. Very kind. This is a slightly different live to normal, whereas I'm letting my tea go cold and creating some files to make my ornate stonework. And I'm also confusing the hell out of myself here. I think I've forgotten to put some etching detail on the top of the window lintel bits. Yes, I have. I was just checking I've done this. That was the right file, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I need a little bit of etching detail. That'll go on the final layer though, so remind me, black layer needs etching detail on it. I want to start with the blue, so I'm going to delete everything that isn't blue. Now I've created that, that's going to be my base layer. Again, I'm going to need to combine the shapes, so it's just one shape. And then move across, and the next colour I want is green. So delete everything that isn't green. And yeah, by my own sort of conventions, I should really have started drawing this up as a separate layered file for everything, but you end up with stupid documents that you can't really understand anymore. Take that off, I don't want that one on. And I have to do this with 5 separate files. It's going to take a while. Just a minute, I need to go and answer a text. Just a minute, I need to go and answer a text. Take my son's girlfriend home. we've still got quite a lot of tedium to go, so you're not going to miss much. Just marry that one together. That's 2 of them done. I wanted to be green really, so I know which one's which. I've got blue, green, red, then black in terms of the colour order. So I'm going to say goodbye for now, because like I say, I'm going to have to go off and take my guest home, and never know, I might be back, but it's going to be quite late by the time I've got there and got back again, so maybe not. So hopefully some more making tomorrow, and if I don't see you again, see you tomorrow.